guys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make this video like a podcast type thing. I've been tossing around the idea of doing a podcast, so maybe we'll just soft open do an informal podcast beginning. Anyway, so I'm in northern Germany, and it's been a roller coaster ride of a trip. I have had some really, really cool experiences, and I've also had some really, really hard struggles, and I think it's really easy to glorify and romanticize solo travel as just one big, glorious, happy adventure, and I think for the most part, I think that is part of it. Like, that is, being a solo traveller is very adventurous and very exciting, and you're having tons of new experiences. But there's also a part of it where you're by yourself and you're seeing all these cool things, and you're watching yourself handle stuff and learn and grow, and no one else will understand when you get home, or the other people in your life can say, oh, that's such a cool story, or that's such a funny story, but nobody will ever truly understand exactly what you went through. So it can feel, or what you did. And so solo travel is definitely a beautiful, fun experience, and I would recommend it to anyone. But there's ups and downs to everything, you guys. Being by yourself, especially for 3 months, which is what I'm doing, it's a lot. It's a lot to be completely by yourself for that long, away from family and friends and culture that you know and understand, and language that you know and understand. I know a bit of German, a very, very, very tiny bit, to the point where I can order food and coffee and stuff in German and do kind of cashier interactions in German, which is good. That has grown over the last 2 months and a half. But it is really hard to not know the language. It is really hard to not know the language here. And it's very isolating. If I was with somebody else and they also didn't know the language, maybe that would feel, I don't know, it's a bit isolating to not know the language. And another thing I've realised about Germany, because when I can hear some conversations in the background. When I travelled around Ireland, the people, like Irish people, if you didn't know, are very, not necessarily bubbly, but just very welcoming, very inviting, very open and warm, and for the most part. And you can pretty easily find people to sit with at a bar if you go in by yourself, or, you know, talk to people on the street or in the bus. But here in Germany, people are a lot more reserved, a lot more kind of not closed off, I would say, and not rude, but it's like unavailable maybe is the word. So that has been something that I've been struggling with, is feeling just alone, like lonely, and without friends, because in Ireland, travelling around kind of in these smaller towns, it's been hard. So that's one thing I did not expect before going on this trip. I knew that cultural differences were pretty vast, and I knew that I wouldn't know the language mostly, but I just experiencing it, even if you are expecting it, is a bit different. It's a bit hard. So okay, let's see. So those have been some of the struggles that I've been going through, as well as just some personal stuff. You know, when you're, gotta remind myself this, when you're on your own, especially in a place where there's nothing familiar around you, there are a lot of things that come up in your personality, in your thoughts, in your actions, in your day-to-day life. There's a lot that comes up, and that has been a really big part of my experience on this trip. I wasn't necessarily expecting to be confronted with not an overwhelming amount of things, but just, you know, things that you don't recognize when you're in your comfortable surroundings, with your comfortable people, in your culture that you understand, in your like everyday normal life that you understand. So you don't get the opportunity to confront certain things about your personality or about your struggles that you do when you're in a situation like this. So all that to say, I have been working through some things which are helpful in the long run and good in the long run. Just hard in the moment, you know, to do the hard work of being honest with yourself and being honest with the people you love, even if they're not here. And yeah, okay, let's take a break from deep topics and talk about some travel stories that I have. I've got a little list written out. Let's see. Oh, so this was in, where was this? I want to say it was still in Munich. Yeah, I think I was still in Munich. It was just towards the end of my time in Munich. I went to a park. I didn't write the name of the park down, but I went to the park because I love to draw and watercolour. I've been doing that a lot this trip. So I went to the park with just thinking I would find a bench or something and sit down and draw a little picture. So I just walked for a while, found these stone steps leading into because there was a river, and so stone steps leading into the river. So I sat down on the stone steps and just started drawing, and I was turned this way, drawing this way, and then I turn round and there's people just getting in the water, like, and I realised that it's like a nude swimming area. You guys, I was trying not to laugh because these were people just going about their everyday lives, doing their ice dip or whatever, because it was cold that day. And I was trying so hard not to laugh because I look over and there's just like these naked people right there. And I'm sure to them was just, I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but basically you go into saunas first and heat up your body, and then do a bunch of cold pools and stuff to cool down your body, and you do it without clothes on. I don't know if I should be speaking about that on the internet, but I thought it was a cool cultural experience that I did, and it wasn't as weird as I thought it was going to be, and it was pretty relaxing actually. So let's just move on from talking about nude things. So I took a day trip from, this is also from Munich, I think. I took a day trip from Munich my last week to was it Salzburg? Yeah, I went with a friend to Salzburg, France, and I didn't know, I was trying not to bring a lot because I knew I was going to be walking around, so I didn't bring my passport, which wasn't something I even thought I needed to bring. But on the way back from, because Salzburg is in Austria, so on the way back from Salzburg to Munich, they stopped the train, and there was a policeman coming through, and I didn't think anything of it, because they'll just check your tickets, make sure you have a ticket. So I pulled up my ticket, and the guy walks up to me and my friend holds out her passport, and I was like, wait. So I went to show him my ticket, and he says, no, I need your identification. And it makes total sense, because you're travelling in between countries, like you're going over the border, Austria into Germany. But I literally didn't think about it. I didn't have anything on me. was just kind of wandering around. I didn't have any plans, and so I just went through a tunnel, and then I went into this little unmarked door. Ended up walking into this huge open area, and it was inside of one of the old castle buildings. It was the armory, and you could walk up, so it was just complete. I don't know how to describe it. It was just completely open, and there was stairs going down and stairs going up, and it was just this old abandoned building, and it felt like a ghost town. You know, if you've ever been to a ghost town, it felt like that, because there were cannons in there, and there were carved out window things, not seats but window. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where people who were using arrows or whatever would shoot out the window, that where they would sit. And I remember being am I supposed to be in here, because there was nobody else in there, and it was huge. So I spent a good half hour just walking around in there and kind of internally freaking out that I'm just inside this centuries old armory and there's nobody else here, and nobody knows I'm here. This is so weird. Yeah, that was really, really cool. I loved Rothenburg. And they have, so there's this Christmas store that I think is native to Rothenburg. So it's it's a chain, but the first one, the original one, is in Rothenburg. It's a Christmas store, and I think if I'm saying it right, it's Kate Vulvat. Maybe I'll put the how to say, or what it's spelled, how it's spelled. But it's, if you walk inside, it just is a quaint little Christmas store. They have ornaments and Christmas cards and advent calendars, and you walk in and it's really cute and small, and then you go through the actual entrance inside, and you're still inside this whole time. It opens up, and there's inside they've created the feeling of a Christmas market. So they have a Christmas tree, probably 3 stories tall, inside, and it's all decorated with lights and ornaments and stuff, and you walk, and then they have all of the things they have for sale is set up around the tree, like a Christmas market with the little stalls and everything. And this is all inside, and the shop looks tiny from the outside. So I literally just walked around I cannot believe how massive it was inside. So they have a few of those all over Germany, I think. But that, I wasn't expecting that. I just went in because it looked like a cute little Christmas store, but it's massive inside. So that's beautiful fun. And what else? So that's a lot about Rothenburg. After Rothenburg, I went to Freiburg. Freiburg was really cool. I liked the place that I stayed. I had a cozy little apartment, and Freiburg is pretty close to the Black Forest, and so I took a day and travelled to Feldberg, and I did a hike in the Black Forest, and I went for pretty much the whole day. I was hiking for about 5 or 6 hours, and that was absolutely incredible, because the morning started out really foggy and kinda it felt cool, because you go up to the top and stuff. So I did a day trip to do that, and I'm really glad I did. It kind of made me laugh because that day I went, you know, and did the hike, and you'd think, you know, you're doing a hike, you're out in the middle of nowhere, there's not going to be a coffee shop. But the Germans take their, and if you're German you can attest to this, take their Kaffee and Kuchen very seriously. Their hour of coffee and cake, or just a few minutes to sit down in the middle of the day and have coffee and cake, it's a thing. And so I wasn't expecting to have my hiking day, because I went up this mountain, came back down, and there's a little coffee shop on the side of the mountain, like nestled in the valley. Beautiful, beautiful view. And so I got coffee and I got cake and I sat and I just enjoyed it. Although I got rhubarb pie, which I did not. I picked all the rhubarb out because it tasted like onions. It's not good. But that was good. Doing that hike, that was one of my favourite days, I think, because I just love to hike and be outside. So Freiburg, really cool. Next I went to Heidelberg, which was this past week, a little over a week. And is that right? Yeah. And love Heidelberg. Highly recommend if you've never been. There's a castle. So the city, okay, let's set the scene here. There's the Neckar River, which goes through Heidelberg. So Heidelberg on the other side of the river, on either side. And then there's a castle, Heidelberg Castle, Schloss Heidelberg. Up at the top, there's like a mountain going up. And then there's the castle right there. And it's the coolest looking. It's huge. And it's kind of sort of ruined, sort of not. And so it's just amazing. Maybe I'll put a picture of the castle if I remember. So Heidelberg was really cool, and there's a main street. Oh, let me see if I can find the name of the street, because parts of Heidelberg were a bit busy. But this main street was my favourite. Okay, it's, oh yeah, it's Main Street in German, but it's Hauptstraße. Hauptstraße. So Hauptstraße was like, you just walk down, it's probably about a half mile long, and it's just shops, just huge shops and clothing shops and restaurants and cozy coffee shops, and it was heavenly. I did that walk probably at least once a day. I did a lot of shopping. I bought some sweatpants, I bought some new glasses. Side note, I wanted to try and find some new glasses while I was in Germany, and ended up getting them. It's not a very interesting side note, but I bought 2 different pairs of glasses, and this is one of them. I do wear glasses sometimes. I think I've told you guys that before. But I have had the same pair since I was like 17 or 18, so I was like, it's time for some new ones. So we have some new glasses, which I love. So that's fun. That was a fun shopping day, picking out my glasses. I sent pictures to all of my friends because I was having a hard time deciding which ones to buy. I let everybody vote, and then I ended up buying both. sharing with the two guys. Interesting. But yeah, so now I've moved on. I'm in northern Germany and I have an apartment to myself. I have my own kitchen, and so yesterday I went and bought a bunch of baking supplies so that I could bake while I'm here, because I've missed baking so much. And so I finally just bought all the supplies and decided, this is a very, very small town. There's not much to do here aside from walk around, and it's beautiful. But so I bought baking stuff, and I have a TV to watch cozy movies. So this week I'm really just gonna take it slow and record videos for you guys. Watch some cozy Christmas / fall movies and bake some banana bread or cookies or whatever I feel like making. But yeah, that's kind of a quick catch up of my trip thus far. I have about a month left now, about a month, yeah. And honestly, okay, so here's something I can talk about. It's a little bit deep, but if you're asleep, I hope you're sleeping well. So something that I've realised is that, so last year when I was travelling around Ireland, I had no idea what I was going to do when I got home. I mean, I had no idea, because before I left I had plans that didn't happen, and so I was kind of like, what do I do? So I had 3 months planned where I would be in Ireland travelling, but then when I got home I really struggled to figure out what to do next. But this trip, I know what I'm doing next. I know that I'm gonna get home mid-December and I'm going to move out of my parents' house into my first apartment. And I know that I'm going back to school. I'm signed up for classes. I start them in January. So the difference between not knowing what you're going to be doing and knowing what you're going to be doing, it's really interesting, because I am usually the type of person who likes to have a plan and a schedule and know in advance what's going on, what we're doing, what the plan is. But I'm finding myself struggling with, like, just to be honest with you guys, with a bit of fear about knowing what's next. Fear of kind of, I think if you're a creative person and you just are an adventurous person, there's always a little bit of fear about being tied down, like committing to something and then like having that take away your independence or your adventurous spirit. And that doesn't go for all things, but I'm finding myself struggling with a bit of fear that way, like fear of committing to so I've never really stuck to one like career path, because I don't really see myself as a career person anyway. I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to homeschool and write books, like that's my dream. But I've never invested into one thing for a long amount of time. And so sign language, going back for that and choosing to invest in that and make that something. I don't know if I've told you guys this actually. Let me tell you before I start sharing other stuff. So I'm going back to school for sign language, and specifically to get my degree in interpreting, because I took sign language classes before and took them for 2 years and loved it, but COVID happened and everything went away. Like, deaf people went away. It felt like. So now I'm back, and now I'm deciding to stick with it, get my degree, do the training, do the stuff, and work and do it. And I have never done that before, you guys. I've done it in small ways, like writing a book. I wrote a book and I self-published it, and so that's a commitment. And I've had friends for a long time. That's a commitment. But I've never, in the realm of like work, if that makes sense, I've never done that. And so I am a bit afraid, in all honesty. I'm a bit afraid that I won't enjoy it, or that I won't be as good as I thought, or that I won't have what it takes. And I have let that fear hold me back in the past. I've let that fear be the thing that tells me, okay, now we'll move on to something else. Be the motivator to move on and not stick with something. And I'm not doing that this time. I'm still gonna, validate the part of me that wants to be adventurous and try new things and not do the same thing every single day. But I want to stick to something and follow through and prove to myself I can do it. And so, yeah, those are really my thoughts coming into the last month of my trip, and just enjoying each day for what it is and taking it one day at a time. I'm just trying to appreciate where I'm at, because I know that I won't be this age forever. I won't be young and without a husband or kids travelling around and forever, and it's sobering, but it also makes you appreciate where you're at without getting going to the future in your head and forgetting about where you're at. So, oh my goodness, I had no idea I was gonna ramble for this long, you guys. I'm so I think I've been here for like 45 minutes. Oh my, but anyway, so people are starting to have conversations, so I think we're gonna cut it off here. I think if I do continue with a podcast type ASMR video, I would love for you guys to give me topics. I think that would be something that I would probably want to do, is talk about topics, because I can ramble all day long, you guys, literally. But I'd love to know what you guys would want to hear. So if